All right, so today is October 18th of 2023, and got things rearranged back here. Moved all my plywood again and got things switched to start working on that side because I've got my first 3 sheets of plywood up on the transom. Now, I got a little more work to do, obviously, but let the glue dry a little bit better before I get too carried away. You can see like all this squeeze out and whatnot. And you can see on the edges here, I've got to sand this down. I've been using my big Bosch sander, that 6-inch dual action, triple action, or turbo action, whatever it is. The big Bosch sander. And I got this edge on this side flush now with the side of the boat, so the next sheet of plywood that goes on here can come out to the edge there. And all these edges are going to have to be sanded like that, because obviously when you lay a square cut piece of plywood on here, the angle does not work, so it's going to have to be sanded down. I don't know, I thought about trying to use a planer, but I'm afraid I'd have a lot of chip out, and so I went ahead and used a sander, which is a little more work, but this turbo function on this Bosch actually works pretty well. So I'm to the point now where I'm ready to start laying my first sheet of plywood on the side here. And what I'm going to do is, you can see there's a little gap up there. That's where the sides of the boat meets the raised shear, and I'm going to shoot for the middle of that. But that curves just a little bit along the whole length of the boat. It's got a little bit of a curve down in the middle, so it's not just a flat piece of wood that's going to have to go up there. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a pattern here. Now in the future I might be able to just pattern the top edge and put a little bit of that bow in there that needs to go in there. But we'll see. But John is going to help me again tomorrow, and we're going to cut some strips up to make some patterns, and we'll probably try to get this first sheet cut and hung. We'll see how that goes. Now theoretically, there's still got that little bump back here, that frame 46 that came out a little too far, so it's still got a little bit more of a curve to it back here than what it really should have, or what I'd like to see. But this should be a flat plane here, and the top of the raised shear should be a flat plane too. So the plywood should bend on there all right. I might not be able to just put it up there and screw it on. I bought a bunch more fender washers to pull the plywood tight up against the boat. I didn't have to use them back here, but I might have to where there's a little more shape to the hull in here. But yeah, we'll see how it goes. I was talking to John the other day. You can see I attached a handle there, and that's what I was using to pull these sheets up and get them in there. John helped me with the first 2 sheets. He just stood down here and kind of held them up, held the bottoms, supported the bottoms while I put them in position. This one here I did myself yesterday, but it's cumbersome, obviously, trying to, and this isn't quite a full sheet, but it's still cumbersome to try to get them up there in position. And what I did was I made a couple little put a couple little blocks down here to hold the sheet up in about its right position, and then I could set it in there and get it pushed up tight against the other one. You can see all the squeeze out I've got of the glue on these, so they appear to be glued in there pretty good. And this is that PL Premium that I'm using. And all these screw holes now are going to have to be radiused somehow, the edges, to get the rough off the edges here. As you can see, these here have not been done, so we need to clean all that off. And what I've got is I got a round head burr, like a carbide burr. And I've been using that, just kind of touching on these holes to kind of chamfer those just a little bit. So when we go back over them again, we can fill those in. It's going to be a lot of holes to fill in. Fill them and sand them, and then we'll need a another layer of epoxy over these. These have got essentially 3 layers. I put a coat of epoxy down on the sheet of plywood, then I put the fiberglass on, and then right away I put another coat, of course, on top of that to get it saturated in real well. Let that dry, and then I put another coat on. And this one here actually hasn't been sanded yet on that last coat. And this one has, and then this one has a little bit. But, you know, the whole purpose of me waiting to start this was for cooler weather so my epoxy didn't kick so quickly. And now I've got exactly the opposite problem. I'm not using epoxy to attach them, so that doesn't matter. I'm using that PL Premium to attach the sheets to the boat. But I've got to wait for the epoxy to dry enough to be able to work with it when I'm putting the fiberglass on. So it's been taking like 2 or 3 days to do one sheet. And that's going to make it slow going. But of course there's other things that can be done too, while you're waiting for epoxy to dry. But when the epoxy is wet, you don't want to be doing a lot of sanding and stuff either. Then you're going to get sanding dust in your epoxy, and then I just don't physically have enough room here, floor space in the shop, to do a whole bunch of sheets at once. I thought about that, but yeah, I don't know how practical that was going to be either, because if you're trying to do a bunch of sheets at once, then you really got to fit them all first and cut them to fit. Otherwise, you're wasting a lot of epoxy and a lot of fiberglass cloth that you're cutting away later. So if I would just, coat all these sheets in fiberglass and epoxy, then you're wasting a lot of that. So whatever you cut away anyway. So yeah, it's going to be slow going. I said that to John the other day when he was here. I said, oh my God, this is going to take a lifetime. And that might be just about accurate too. Yeah, it's going to take a long time to do this, especially all the finishing work. And I'm not going to go nuts on finishing, but still, yeah, you want, yeah. I'm kind of jealous now of the people that just plank their boats and, conventional type of planking, and that's all they have to do is plank them, caulk them, and paint them. But yeah, because this is going to be a lot of work. And I don't think, when I looked at this job, I don't think I anticipated how much work it was going to be to do all this. But we are where we are, and there's nothing we can do about it now. But I don't know if having it done this spring is even going to be feasible or not. That and the fact that I need somebody to help, and I don't always have somebody available to help. And it's not a lot of help, it's just getting the sheets up there initially, and I don't know, when I start patterning, I guess maybe I can, of course the patterns I can handle by myself. So maybe the only time I need help is when I'm actually putting the sheets up there, I guess. But we're going to get started, and we're going to start on this side. I had to get the transom done because I wanted the side sheets to overlap the stern sheets there, the transom sheets there. And then, like I said, we're going to follow that line up there, and we're going to 4-foot wide sheet of plywood is going to be wide enough for a lot of the stern here. But once we get about amidships, we've got over 4 feet here. So then I'm going to need to decide what to do there. If I want to put a splice in, a shorter piece in here, or run them down lower and put a shorter piece in up on top. I'm sure the on top would actually be better technically. Not that I really think it's going to matter. But yeah, I think we'll probably just keep on putting the 4 foot in here and then just fill in down here, this 18 inches or 2 feet maybe in some places, whatever we need. As we get farther towards the bow, the boat gets taller and taller, so it's going to take more and more. In fact, up here it's probably going to be almost 2 full sheets, 1 and 2. Yeah, we'll see. But yeah, we're started anyway. And I've been doing a little bit more down here, a little bit more filling down here. We got a ways before I'm going to have to worry about this down here. We're going to have to get this whole top sides sheathed in plywood first before I start worrying about anything down here. And I did get some more fiberglass in. I got some of that 1708 in, and that's in this box here. And I'm going to use that up on the bow where I had talked about fairing something in up there to make the transition from plywood to the stem, because this whole area in here, which was kind of a struggle, I'm gonna have to plane this down just a little bit more along in here, and all this get planed down, and then rather than trying to put plywood down over this up here, I'm probably going to end it about the plywood about here, and then put that 1708 in here, and then just fair it into the stem. Yeah, but we just keep going one day at a time and do as much as I have the energy to do, and yeah, with a little luck, it might eventually get done. But that sanding up there, that's kind of a bear. And I'm gonna have a lot of that to do too. But anyway, I just thought I'd give you a little update on where we are. We have started the putting plywood. We got one side done, right? Only 2 more sides left to go. Yeah, well, okay. Maybe this was gonna be the easiest one to do. Nice and flat, and yeah. But I did buy I don't know if you saw this or not, but I bought myself a power caulking gun. That's gonna make life, or already is making life, a lot easier. And whatever we can do to make our life easier, we're gonna do. So, yep, there you have it. There's my update.